Good day. Welcome to Full Circle with Nona Black TV. Thank you for watching. I thank you for supporting the channel. We're going to get into the trending political news and hopefully to give you something a little inspirational at the end. Topic number one, we're going to go with there was a new Republican speaker that was voted on and approved by the Republicans, and his name is Mike Johnson. Of course, some new information's come out, some of his more radical stances, and that more of that stuff is coming to light. But at issue is making sure the government is funded. Of course, there's packages. President Biden and the Senate are pushing for funding Israel, Ukraine, and some other funding initiatives. The proposal sent over by the new Speaker of the House is to fund Israel for $14 billion, pulling funds from the IRS, funds that were allocated in the Inflation Reduction Act to the IRS to be able to go after people who would larger dollar values who may be cheating on their taxes, not paying taxes to the amount that they are required. And this is the first proposal with this speaker with the backing of the Republican caucus to send this to get it funded. First and foremost, our new speaker, the new Speaker of the House, also has to get in contact with it's a divided government. While they may have a very slim majority in the House, Democrats have the majority in the Senate. And President Biden is, of course, in the White House, so he would have to sign the legislation. He has already, of course, said that he would veto this funding thing that they've sent over. So it's a no-go there. They don't have enough to veto, to override it. Also, the Senate is not going to pass it. So it's not going to go into law. So the new Speaker of the House has to understand that he's going to have to come up with a package that can go through, be passed by the Senate. And I believe the Senate has come up with a proposal of their own that they're going to be trying to work on passing and send it over to the House for reconciliation, and we'll see how that goes. The only other option is if they don't come to an agreed upon amount, then the government will be moving toward a shutdown if the continuing resolution or new packages is not funded by November 17th, which would be fiscally irresponsible. We're coming into, of course, the closing to the end of the year. The economy has a lot of things that are bustling, but there are some soft spots still as well. We've had good job numbers. It slowed a little bit going into the fall. I think the most recent job numbers were at 150,000 jobs created. And of course, those numbers do tend to go higher at the beginning of the year. But at the same time, with pressures on the market, pressures of, just everything costing more, the last thing we need is the government to be shut down. The world is going through multiple crises. You have, of course, the Israeli and Hamas conflict is still ongoing. And it has to do with us supporting our allies, the the war is still going on with Ukraine and Russia, and then other hot spots around the world, and it's not stopping. It is only escalating. So this is not something that it needs to be a long drawn out fight about, because other things, a business at hand, need to be taken care of. I do want to say a quick note. I know that they've been pushing back at Senator Tuberville. I think grateful for that, because I think they recently added a couple new ambassadors, which is greatly needed. All of the people that need to be in their positions that they're blocking or holding up, not allowing the government to be fully staffed to be able to deal with all the crisis and everything around the world, is a detriment. And the majority of the holdup right there right now is Republicans and also Senator Tuberville, in the issue with, they had the commander, I'm not sure his exact position, but he got definitely sick, and it was an emergency because he was doing two people's job, and it was overtaxing. So they were adding another person, and I hope they fill, both positions, so the gentleman have a time to recuperate and get better enough that he to come back to get his job, and he'll be able to do the one job. Of course, these are hard times, and a lot has to be watched, and for the military readiness, but like I say, the hands of, citizens being killed or murdered and stuff like that, and him holding up readiness is an abomination and needs to be resolved immediately. So I'm glad that the Republicans are starting to do some pushback, but they need to do more. Back to the funding package that so the new Speaker of the House sent over. Supposedly it was put up that they sent this package over because it's fiscally responsible. This is the same Republican out of all the Republicans who voted for the Trump tax cuts that added over $2 trillion in deficit to the deficit. They didn't care about being fiscally responsible. So it's a hypocrisy. It seems like a joke if things weren't so serious. They care about being fiscally responsible when Democrats are in, but when they are in, they don't care about that. They don't care about making sure the budget is balanced. They don't care about making sure that they take care of the responsibilities that other lawmakers prior to them have already agreed to, have already committed to. That stuff has to be paid for. And going forward. So it just reaped irony. And like I say, if it wasn't such tumultuous times, it would be, like crazy that they were doing that. But then for them to try to say that they want this done, and then this is supposed to take money from the IRS, which would be accounting to make sure that people who do owe taxes or paying taxes, people who may be possibly cheating or getting away with not paying their taxes, aren't paying taxes. You mean to tell me, but that's going to be fiscally responsible to take money from that area to put to get to the Israelis, but to take the money from that because we first got to take care of home for over here. I understand that there's a lot of funding that does have to go out. We do have to support our allies, but we also got to remember you got to take care of your house. Before you're trying to take care of the entire world. Switching from that note. I did want to bring up, because it's happened in multiple states, and frequently, as you know, we do talk about voting. There have been several states, and victories have been won. Hard-fought litigation against them for violating the Voting Rights Act. It's happened in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, and I think someone was like a portion of Texas. in some other states. So these things are imperative. We're getting close to the 2024 election. We're in November now. So November next year, we will be voting for president and other things. And also check your local places. So there will be some voting next week. So if you haven't voted, just check and make sure that if you have any local races or anything happening in your local area, that you do go out and vote. So these things do matter, but I did want to highlight a couple of the cases. In Florida, the Senate, the Florida Governor DeSantis and the Republican-controlled state Senate, the residents of Florida passed a Restoration Act for people who were felons who had completed their time, had been released, had not gotten in any other trouble, were ready to restore their rights to vote, which should be rightfully if they complete their time, they change their life, they moving forward, they're doing what they're supposed to do. So when that amendment was on, it did pass. Of course, Governor DeSantis went back, and so they filed, I think it's called Amendment 4, to take back the ability for those felons to be able to vote, saying, okay, well, they can't vote if they haven't, monetarily comply with all of what is owed and required. So most people don't have a problem with saying that, okay, that's part of the restitution, that whatever they have, that they meet all the standard. But the fact of the matter is you can't have an open-ended, no accountability to what you're saying that people have. That's like a poll tax that in the olden days of Jim Crow laws. So the issue is a lot of people who done everything, they're seeking to get their rights restored so they can vote. And then they're reaching out to the county, the state government to find out if they owe anything. And then they're telling them, well, we don't know what the amount is, or we can't tell you what it is. That's not on that person's responsibility. That's on the state. If they can't, I feel like if they can't get them a specific amount, criteria, or where, within 30 days, whatever those should be washed, because you have to give them a right and an opportunity to take care of it. You let them know then whatever time they have to take care of it or start taking care of it, but you can't hold that over them, and they've contacted you and you still haven't given them anything, 30 days pass, and they still don't know what you're saying that they possibly may owe. There are groups in Florida who work with them to help when they get restored. If they have fines and stuff, people have donated to help get those things taken care of so they can have the right to vote. So they lost in a lawsuit that was filed against them, saying that it does violate the Voting Rights Act because they have a civil constitution right to be able to vote, and you cannot withhold them for the right to vote because the amendment passed by the people in a majority, and it was a 2/3 majority, I think almost 2/3, giving them the right back to vote. So if you can't tell them what they owe or that they owe anything, then there should be nothing else holding them from voting. Also, in Alabama was another state. So in Alabama, the issue in that state was they violated, the Supreme Court found that they violated the rights of the Alabama, the black votes in Alabama won a major majority of the Supreme Court, and it was saying that they were found that the lawmakers and Republicans violated the Voting Rights Act when they redrew the state's congressional maps after the 2020 census, and they failed to create 2 major black districts. They had more than enough people to account for the 2 districts, and they drew the maps to make sure they didn't have it. So the Supreme Court ruled that they were wrong, that they had to go back and redraw the maps appropriately, and they're still refusing to do and draw the maps. Of course, they are trying to hold this out until passing the election. I know that they were saying they were having some other litigation about it, so they have to keep a close eye on that. Law matters, and that's why we tell you law matters when these cases are going forward. When you're talking about voting and who you're going to vote for, regardless of whether you want President Biden for his age or whatever, as long as he's still able to do the job, and he will sign voters' rights legislation if it comes to his desk, if he will sign bills and stuff that we need to be able to, help regular Americans or just all Americans, but, because I think we can be stronger. Like they said, the middle class grows and people in the maybe lower economic can work their way up, can, get a point to get ahead. I think it just helps all of them to come on, because people at the top are still making money. People in the middle, they just want enough to really be able to take care of their families, take care of themselves, their homes, their children, have some modicum of life to be able to help with, college, to be able to enjoy the fruits of their labor and be able to take a trip here or there, and then be able to not be under economic strain. So then it was also happening in another state. I think it's one of the Carolinas as well. So keep an eye on that. Make sure you know what's going on in your local area. This is why voting is so important. We have to be able to make sure that we win all of the counties and state and local elections that we can, to be able to get enough majority, so we can have, be in charge of the part of making sure the maps are created equally, and it's not being able to use voter suppression against us African Americans or minorities or any other group. And then we'll get into topic 3. Of course, the Israeli and Hamas conflict is continuing. And there's differences now in the course of action, whether that should be a ceasefire, actual pause, so that they can work on getting more people out, releasing the hostages. So that is an ongoing battle. As I told you, I didn't think that the conflict would end anytime soon. I feel like their Netanyahu feels like he messed up and he's going to go over and abort. So that still has a lot to do. There's still hostages, over 200. Israel's depending on the severity of everything that's happened. They're saying now that there are over 11,000 lives lost. That's a lot of people. We pray for peace. We pray for peace, and we understand the conflict. We know that there's innocent people on both sides. I did want to say that because of the attack, the invasion back and the murders back that happened on October the 7th, that's when I felt like, remember I was telling in past videos that the world has changed, and I believe that Netanyahu will use that and that conflict to, well, he said it, plain. I think he said that they plan to completely eradicate Hamas, and I don't think in his mind, I don't think he thinks that they're going to stop until they're able to do that. But it goes to at what cost. They did have former President Barack Obama in his Obama Foundation. They were celebrating the Obama Foundation, and that, it's been 15 years since President Obama was elected. If you haven't seen those, it is on the internet, YouTube, First Lady Obama, Michelle Obama's speech. It was very inspirational. She was really just thanking the people who had worked in the administration, who had worked on her team, who had worked. But it was an excellent speech. Just the humbleness, and the sincerity of their heart is just refreshing to what we have in these days and times. But back to former President Obama, he did weigh in on a podcast about the Israeli-Hamas conflict, and what he was saying was he emphasized there's been a perpetual conflict going on between Israel and Palestine that is conflicted, that goes back decades. It's like I was saying, it's multi-layered to this conflict. It's not just what happened on October 7th. It's all, you have the past issues that they had, you have that past brokering of peace, and then President Rahim being killed and murdered because he was trying to work with the Palestinians for peace. So you have all this layered antagonism, conflict, past people who've been killed. And so that's why it's so difficult at this time. And President Obama was just cautioning against ignoring the complexity of the bloodshed for how long that it's been, and as to why it is such a difficult situation to just strategically decide to, you can't just pick a side knowing that there have been, that's what you're saying, there has been bloodshed on both hands. So that's why, you know, it's not something that can be easily resolved, but the people who are working to negotiate a ceasefire, negotiate peace, negotiate, that we have to continue to pray for that, and that some kind of resolution, even if it's adding some kind of two-state solution, it's even the level of damage that's already been done on both sides. Both sides are not going to be the same again. Like I said, the world changed with COVID, and it will never be the same. The world has changed again when this conflict happened, when that invasion happened on October 7th, and it will never be the same again. If you just look at the pictures and the devastation on TV, it is horrific. And your hearts go out to all who are innocent in it, man, woman, and child, and the children. So we will continue to be in prayer for that. I did just want to say something quickly to you. I was able to volunteer, and it was a labor of love at a Habitat Humanity event through my primary job, but and I was able to, and I'll hopefully show you some of the pictures there. But I just did want to remind others, we may be one person and feel like we can't do anything to change the world, or we can't facilitate helping, but that's not true. There's a lot of wonderful foundations, things that are doing excellent work, or even if it's locally to your own, maybe ministry, or to your own yourself, showing kindness to the next person, caring about someone and making sure if they're depressed or whatever, that you're checking on them, that they're getting seen about, helping someone who's elder. I did want to dedicate that in honor to my grandma Ellen, who helped raise me, and to former President Jimmy Carter. He's been an advocate and a volunteer and a stalwart for Habitat Humanity for years and years and years. And of course, my grandma Ellen always taught us to give and help others, and she lived a life of ministry and helping that. And so honor them, not just her, a lot of my family, the elder ones, but I just wanted to specifically say that. So it was, like I said, a labor of love. We accomplished a lot in it one day, but just to see the rows, the houses upon houses, and just thinking, about, I did the 2 things on affordable housing, but just to see it, the houses upon houses upon houses, there are people who are out here trying to help reduce the burden of the unaffordability of housing, who are out putting physical work, sweat equity in, and volunteering and doing all they can, resources, time, materials, and they don't have to do it, but they do it because they care about their community, because they care about their fellow man. And I just want to honor that today. Thank you for watching. Please like the video, leave a comment if there's anything in the video that you found interesting, or just say good job, whatever is on your heart. And then, of course, subscribe, and you can also share with friends and family who want to continue to grow the channel and continue to provide you with quality information. And thank you so much for being a part of the Nona Black TV family, full circle with Nona Black TV. Greatly appreciate you watching. And as always, till we meet again, may the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent one from another. Be blessed, full circle Black TV family.